good to go?
You're good to go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Good to see everybody. Thank you for coming and watching my demo. If you guys don't know me, I am Jonah Conrad, owner of Conrad Blacksmithing. I make axes for a living. I love axes. Who here has swung an axe or used an axe before? Pretty much everybody. Yeah, axes are freaking awesome. I love them. So today, we're gonna make a splitting axe. Okay, who here burns firewood in their house? A lot of people. I split pretty much all my wood for our house by hand every year. And it's really fun. It keeps you in shape, and I just love doing it. So, probably my favorite axe to make is a 5-pound Tassie. That's an old design for axes. It's nothing that I came up with. It's actually designed in Tasmania, believe it or not. It's actually originally an axe designed for chopping, not splitting. So some people don't know, but the difference between chopping and splitting is chopping, you're chopping down an axe, splitting, you're splitting firewood. Well, Tassies were actually originally designed for the Australian loggers when they were chopping down trees. But they happen to be thick enough that people like them for splitting too. I just made my own little version, and I like them for splitting. They do pretty well. People like them. So today we're going to make one. Try and go as fast as I can because it's a really big axe. So I will start the first heat with forging the billet. I use 2.5-inch round S7 steel. If anybody has ever forged S7, it's really difficult. So yeah, we'll start out with that. Grab it here. Let's see. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not really used to the setup here, but on this one, we'll give it a little bit of an upset first. Keep that scale off. And just start flattening the one side. I like to flip it, keep everything even, because machines are not perfect and they kind of give pressure in places that are not perfectly straight, so we flip it to give it the best, chance. Oh shoot. Let me see here. 8. Does that work? Cool. And then I will give it a little flat spot here on top to set back in the forge straight. So now we kind of have to start the billet. Just want it thinner and taller. So a lot of you have probably done quite a bit of forging. You guys really like it. Obviously you're here, you paid to be here. One massive tip, some of you may know it, but when you're forging, keep your steel very hot. Like that, that's probably about the bottom of what I would like to go when I'm trying to move a lot of steel, especially with S7. S7, after it gets to that temperature, it just stops, right? It's no good. So I put it back in the forge, we'll keep it super hot. It is a really big billet, so it will take a little while to heat back up. But also, keep your dies clean. That bugs me when people use like dies covered in scale. Yeah. So S7, keep it very, very hot. That stuff, the melting temperature is actually higher than regular steel, so you don't have to be afraid of melting it per se. So as you saw in the last heat, we kind of basically just made it kind of a rectangle, just flattened two sides of it, made sure everything was square. At the end, upset it on the long ends, I guess. Just keep everything nice. The better of a foundation you start with whatever you're forging, the nicer it's going to be at the end. So if you start with a nasty looking knife blank, it's not probably going to look that good unless you're really good on a grinder. But if you forge a really nice looking knife blank, it's probably going to look pretty nice. So we want to keep everything really square. If there's some round corners, not a big deal with an axe because it gets moved so much that the corner's probably going to get ground off at some point. So next heat, what I'm going to work on is just getting it thinner and taller. Because if none of you have seen a Tassie, they're very, very, very tall and kind of square looking. So It's got a pole maybe like that tall, and the bit is a couple inches taller than that, but it's not super swoopy or anything. It's pretty square. So the biggest thing with Tazzies on making a splitting axe is going to be the profile. And when I refer to profile, it's not like the image or the outline of the head that you see when you're holding it up. It's actually when you look top down on the axe. So if you're looking at this axe here, this is what I refer to as the profile. And as you can see, this is kind of a splitting axe. This is what I'd call a general purpose axe. It's thicker at the top here and in the middle, but it's still pretty thin at the very edge. Okay, it means it can still chop, but this will actually split firewood a little bit too at your campsite or something. The Tazzy, this one actually has kind of a swoop to it. Tazzy is going to be the opposite. That's a good splitting axe in my opinion. Also, if any of you guys ever make an axe, I would highly, highly recommend not to just make it flat on the bit. Okay, you want to make it round, convex, because when you're in wood, right, if your center is the only thing touching, it's going to come out way easier. Okay, the less surface area contact on an axe, the better. I have a little bit of experience with racing axes, and that's all they're trying to do is just reduce the surface area contact with the wood inside. And that works really, really well. So Tazzies have these dies right here that will actually give the head that convex. You can see it's kind of ditched right here. I call it beveling dies because it actually doesn't always get to the center here. It just puts two bevels on each side. Really cool. Makes it split way better. And yeah, they're cool to use. But if any of you guys have questions, just let me know. I will be right here to answer, and we have a little bit of time every heat to answer some questions. So I'll pass this around if you guys want to look at it.
Why S7 is one of the
S7 is probably the toughest steel that I've found as far as toughness goes. It's not the hardest. It's not stainless or anything special. It's just tough. Like, you won't break it. It's extremely hard to forge. If that was 4140, probably be pretty close to a billet by now. S7, you can smash the pole with a hammer and nothing will happen. It'll still be polished when you're done. And ask me how I know I've done it. What else would I recommend? This may piss some people off, but I would not recommend 4140, honestly. I've made a lot of axes out of 4140. Even after hardening the pole, if you hit it with a hammer, I can mushroom it. It's just not quite tough enough. It's really nice to forge. If you're beginning forging axes, it's probably a really good steel to use, in fact, because it's way easier to forge. I've heard of a lot of people using 1060. 1060 is good stuff. That hardens up pretty well. S7, don't use it if you're just starting out or if you're doing it by hand. I couldn't imagine forging an axe out of S7 by hand. Yeah, 4140 be good to forge with. 1060 probably my second choice. I've actually looked into 1060 to make axes out of. It's just really hard to get the round that I want or square bar. In my area. Out here it might be really easy. But yeah, let me see if this is hot. My alarm is kind of going off here. Yeah, okay, we're good. Get the press started here. As you can see, guys, this thing does not move much under the press. And that's not a Coal Ironworks thing, that's just an S7 thing. This stuff does not move. So, I'm just gonna make sure everything's square. And then, as you can see, not a lot happened. I'm not going to let it cool down much more than that. Oop, thank you. We'll put it back in and I'll change out my dies. Another massive tip when you're forging, I don't know why I just took that off. That would hurt. Another massive tip when you're forging is reduce your surface area contact, okay? And what I mean by that is right now, I'm forging with that flat die, so it's got 100% surface area contact. I'm gonna switch to this half round die where I have a lot more pounds per square inch on that steel. We'd be here for another 30 minutes getting that billet done if I stayed with those flat dies. I just use those flat dies to get the preform started, and then these basically just stretch and pancake everything else out. So we'll get those switched over. Right now it's the correct side. But that's a very good tip that I learned pretty early on in blacksmithing. Most of you probably know who Brian Brazil is. I heard of that from him. I watch a lot of his videos. So reduce your surface area contact, and that includes hammer forging too. I might be preaching to the choir here, but another point: if you're using the flat side of your hammer, if you're not doing anything or you're struggling, you can use the round side. That'll reduce your surface area contact, or you can use the side of your hammer like a cross peen or a straight peen. Let's see. Now, that's heating up pretty quick. I'm impressed. My forge, not as nice as these. I always joke the flames don't come out the front and the back. They come out of everywhere. Let's see here. So on the neck teeth, all I'm going to do is stretch that billet taller. I don't really want it to be much longer. Tazzies are not a long axe. They're really just tall and fat. So we're going to make it taller. I'll try and keep it as square as I can with the half round dies. It's not going to work super well, but just keep it straight. And one massive tip when you're using half round dies, they're never perfectly in line. Always flip over, okay? Because if you just keep forging one direction with half round dies, you're going to be dealing with a potato chip, right? So flip it over, get it to bend both ways, and stay straight there. I think that might be hot enough. Yeah. So to further reduce my surface area contact here, I'm going half on, half off with the half round dies. And as you can see, there's a lot more happening now that I'm using these half round dies. You can see that sucker's stretched out a lot now. Now that I'm using these half round dies. Yeah, that sucker's stretched out a lot now. Kind of getting the hang of this DPC. I've never used one before, but it's pretty interesting. All right, so you can see in one heat we were ready to go back to the flat dies. Okay, that's the exact thickness I want. I'll upset it and flatten up the tops and make it look much better next heat. Switch to that. Yeah, the guys at Coal Iron were probably starting to sweat a little bit with those flat dies not having much happen. The half round works much, much better. Okay, you guys over here see pretty good? I get it from Pacific Machinery and Tool Steel in Oregon. A little far away from you guys. I actually found a machine shop that's along their trucking route, so I get free shipping too. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to use the 60 ton. Goodness. I'm used to this guy. This is what I have at home.
3 pedals stacked up on top of it.
I'll use that next heat. We'll probably get it done now. How many heats did that take? 3? Was that 3 so far? Okay, 4 heats for a billet. That's not bad. I used to do 5 heats. Not fast. Not fast. Some people are like, oh yeah, I got an axe forged in 3 heats. I'm like, I don't count. I don't count. Let's try this guy out. Oh, thank you. Is there a way I can, does it go lower? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Cool. Just want to make sure I don't get stuck again.
So this overrides the foot pedal.
That's right. Yeah. Thought I was getting the hang of it. Okay. Let's take a look here. That'll be good enough. So first I'm going to upset it. Oh, need it. Oh, it's on spring. There we go. Ooh, that is nice. So you can see I kind of got bent there. I'm going to bend it back. Wow, that is very, very nice. I like that. So I'm just kind of squaring it up. Now I'll upset it back. Oop. Now, unfortunately, a little cold here, guys, just because I'm kind of finishing up the surface a little bit and making sure it actually stands up straight. Because with a billet this tall, if it doesn't stand up straight, you're going to be in trouble. And it looks like I need to square it up a little bit. So you can see, that's actually a pretty nice billet. I like that. So that'll work for an axe. I do want to, you can see it's kind of rhombused a little bit. I'll fix that on the next heat. That's nice, I like that. Okay. I should have been using that the whole time. So, who here has punched an axe or a hammer? Good, good, good. So you know, if your billet is off just a little bit, it'll screw everything up. Like your whole tool will be so crooked. So I really want to make sure that's straight because I don't want to make a crooked axe in front of you guys. That would suck. I can talk about my punch as well. I use H13 for my punches. I know somebody's going to ask about that. I just kind of made what looked good to me and fit my drifts, and then welded it like crazy to a blank die plate from coal iron. When these get mushroomed, I don't really bother to put that point on it anymore. I just kind of leave it round like that because it actually kind of develops a natural center point that you can use for a mark. But you do want to make sure to grind it flat on the sides, because if you don't have a shoulder there, it's not really going to shear a plug very well. So this one has a little bit of mushrooming. I'll just clean that up just in case it messes up my axe. But yeah, probably use this one. Is this grinder hooked up? Yep. Oh yeah, cool. Cool. Never used one of these. Safety equipment. That's all I do on these. Just kind of clean up that mushrooming a little bit. I'm sure that's what everybody else does too. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. My punch lube. Do we know where that's at? Is that in the back somewhere? Yeah. Thought I left it back there somewhere. I use the punch lube that Coal Iron sells. Stuff is ridiculously good. I don't know if any of you guys have used it. Stuff crazy. I've used charcoal, all that stuff. Thank you very much. I put it in a spray bottle. It makes a big mess when you're using it for punches, but kind of the best way I've found to use it. Or you can use that. That's really cool. Dang. I could just dump some of them up in there. Good? Okay. Yeah, with the punch in there. Okay. Yeah. And I use this on my drifts as well. I use H13 drifts. I make them myself. You guys can make your own drifts too. It's not that difficult. It's hard to forge H13. Just get it really, really hot. It's the same as S7. Just get it really, really hot. And Cole also sells H13. Wow. I'll use this one just. Okay, last square up. Really check. Not too bad. Put it back in and get ready to punch it. How many of you guys have a Coal Ironworks press? Wow. Okay. That's actually more than I expected. Okay, who here would like some tips on punching? Okay. My biggest tip, I know when I was taught, some people said go like 2/3 through the billet, right? That's the big question. How deep do you go on the first punch? Go pretty dang deep, that's what I say. Don't, like 2/3 is not enough, okay? You want to go 3/4 or more. On an axe this tall, 3/4 is quite a bit already, so you're going to mess up your punch if you go much deeper, and it's really difficult. So I go about 3/4. If I had a billet with me, I could show you, but I don't have it, so you'll just see it in person. On a hammer, some of them I go almost all the way down to the bottom. I mean, it really just depends. It's not like a rule. You don't have to do anything special. Punching axes, I go about 3/4, I'd say. Any questions about punching before I actually do it, so maybe I could explain it? What's that? It makes it much easier for your plug to come out, for your plug to shear. It gives you more time, especially in a press. Because if you go like 2/3 through an axe, you're gonna have a plug about that thick, and then you may run out of space before you actually bottom out. And at that point, you're gonna mushroom out your plug, and you're gonna have to hammer it out. And it's okay if you have to hammer out your plug. It's not a big deal. Yep. Oh, are you talking about like where it drags into the hole? It honestly depends how it looks. I do it by just how it looks. There's not really a rule. Everything I do is, it's looking like this, I'm gonna do this. On a hammer, that's more sensitive because you have the cheeks, or whatever you call them, the lugs, and you want them to be even on top and the bottom. On an axe, especially a Tassie, what really matters more is what the angle's like. So if there's a side, I always do it off the pole. If one side is perfectly 90 degrees to the pole, right, I'll do that at the top because I want that. And then if another side is, more obtuse, that's what I want the bottom, because the Tassie is square on top, and then it kind of always just has this like angle down to the bottom, and it makes them really cool, because it might be 3.5, 4 inches at the pole. At the front of the eye, it'll be somewhere around 4.5 inches. So it's always going forward. On another axe, there's some axes where I might want the thing to go up, but I always do it off what the pole looks like. Because sometimes after you punch, you might have punched one side closer to the pole than the other side, and you want to make that side the top. Whatever. It'll always angle your axe. That's why we really want to make sure the punch is straight. Because if you get your two punches not width-wise, but lengthwise off, that can affect how your axe is going to sit on the handle. So it's really sensitive stuff. Let's see. I'll get this ready. This is so cool. Should make one myself. Wow. Okay. I think it's like hot enough. Take a look. That's perfect. Oop. All right. Get it nice and hot for punching. Make sure you don't spill all your punch lube. And then this is the interesting part. You want to check a lot. Make sure that it's centered. Ooh. If you get off, it's okay. You can always fix it. There we go. I'll mark it, and then I try not to go all the way at once. If this takes 2 heats, I'm not bothered at all. I'd rather my punch just last. Want to keep nice and straight, and then I'll send it a little bit. Woo. Okay, so we'll warm that back up. I didn't tighten down my die enough. We'll get this thing. Yeah, she's loose. There we go. It's not uncommon for a Tassie to take me 2 heats just because they're so tall. But take your time when you're punching, guys. There's plenty of time to do what you need to do. And it really will determine what your axe is going to look like. Because if you get it off and it's sitting down, because one side is closer to the pole, it's not going to look as good. And it's going to be really, really difficult to hang it. So just take your time, make it nice. That one's not looking too bad. Just, it's interesting doing it with the DPC now. I've never forged with one, so I'm trying to like get the hang of it. It's actually pretty nice. I like it. Any questions? Any questions at all? Yes, sir? What's the pole? That's the hammer side of the axe. So you have the bit, which is the chopping side, and then the pole is the hammer side. Yeah. It's just a weird name for the hammer. Yeah. Got to make it special, right? Because it's an axe. It can't be like a hammer.
Kind of like the way Jared felt.
Yes, so I have 3 different punch sizes. I actually use one of Cole Ironworks' punches for camp axes. It's a smaller punch. I use that for a small drift. I got 3 drifts that I'll use for this axe. This is the starting one. It's a little messed up. I'll have to clean it up a little bit. But that's what I start with. I make it to where it'll slip in probably about, well, I can't really remember, but it might slip in about that far. You don't want your drift to just set right on top of your eye when you're done punching it, because you're going to have a real hard time getting it through. You know, you'll shear a lot of stuff off in there. But yes, I size my punches for my drifts. Did that answer your question? Okay, cool. I'd say he asked how far did I come off the pole from the eye? Basically how thick did I make the pole? I actually made it somewhere around an inch, because I may go back in there and actually stretch out that pole, and that'll make it thinner. Because Tassies have really thin poles. Some of them are 1/4 inch thick, which I don't make them that thin because that's useless in my opinion. But yeah, that's about how far I do. I might take off a 1/4 inch when I stretch it, maybe. We'll see how it goes. All right. Okay, we'll just send that down there. Obviously didn't get it tightened up again. So we'll mark. I don't really have an explanation for how I line them up. Maybe I could think of that when I'm done. Okay, so this one, this one I didn't quite line them up perfectly, but it's pretty dang close. You can see it's hanging on the back, okay? That's a common thing, because on these Tassies, it's so tall, you can see how that pole got smashed down. That punch is actually coming in there like this, right? So I have to kind of remedy that. I could possibly go through the other side and then just kind of push it out. Yeah, that'll knock it out. Let's see here. Take a little. Okay, so I just had like a 1/16 inch of rag, or maybe even less. There's your eye, okay? Pretty centered, not too bad. We'll stick it back in and draw the cheeks out. Oh. So you can see after that, I took my time, right? Didn't mushroom it. Okay, that's a heavily used punch. All right, cool them down. Cool them down. Take your time. It's okay. It took 2 heats.
But I have.
The second heat will actually go faster than the first because it's hot and you've got your marks already. So just remember that. Really good. Sometimes that steel's like red and you got it in the press and you're like, oh man, it's almost there, and then you try to force it and end up screwing up. Yeah. Actually get done. So also when it's in the forge heating back up, it gives you time to think. So you can think about what you want to do next and make a plan. So now I'm putting in the half round dies because we're going to start flattening out those cheeks or lugs, eye walls, whatever you call them.
Whatever.
And might not be a bad idea to do it on that guy. I'm just so used to the 12 ton or the 25 ton, whatever it's called. I'm going to do that. Why not? Let me switch my dies over.
They're like when they're welders.
Thank you. A little warm, yeah. Yeah, I've never used one of those, so that'll be interesting to see what it does with a drift.
Combos back on that, or?
We'll leave it blank for now. I don't know what I'm going to use that thing for. I'll probably have to switch those half rounds back because I need the C-frame to do the bit. Yeah. Okay. I need to get my drift ready. So. Also another thing, I see a lot of people using like a bunch of tongs. Sometimes you only need a few, okay? The tongs I have here are the only tongs I have. I have these, a pair of pickups, some Andrew Larson hammer tongs, Andrew Larson flat bits too, and then another set of flat bits. And they do everything I need. So just use tongs for what you need. And, yeah. I definitely need to get a new pair of these. These things are worn out. They're really worn out. But if you know me, you know I don't really replace stuff. So I just use it until it just like melts down or something. I'll get a little punch lube on these. Probably, I don't want to make a mess. I'll make a mess over here in the dust. So I'll spray some Fuchs punch lube on these. It really, really helps getting them out. When this die was new, now it's all nasty and everything, it would just come out right out of the press. I mean, I would just upset the axe and pull it out. But now it's way heavier used. Ooh, that's what I'll use that press for, is punch or drifting. Let's see. Oh, no, I don't need that. It actually goes down further. Okay, I should be hot now. Oh yeah. Oop. Okay. Hopefully, oh yeah. So you can see it sets down in there. And then I'll kind of use the dies, keep it straight. You can tip it. Oh, a little bit. It'll straighten out eventually. Get a good grip on there. Start in the middle. Wow. Work your way out. Lord be with my drift. This thing is getting smashed. Okay. Upset it. Little device. Give it a good smack. Okay. Wow. All right, so we're done on that one side. Now I'll take it, and you know what? It's still hot, so I can drift it. This vise is a little bit taller than mine. Okay, so now we are ready to just basically set that drift back in there and flatten out the cheeks on the other side. Do need a bucket of water right there. Cool. It's good still. Yeah, wow. That thing's impressive. Okay. When you're using this stuff, leave your drift a little bit hot. Your other left? See how that turns white? That's what you want right there. Okay. So I'll just drop that drift in next heat, do the same thing, and then move up to this drift. That one's already cleaned up and nice. Okay. I would not say that I size the end of the drift for the top of the previous drift. Actually make the end a little bit smaller so it goes in easier. You want your drift to kind of start out straight, you know, because if it starts out the way you want it to start out, it's going to be crooked.
I don't know, like,
yeah.
no oil ever.
I'm still like recovering from that 60 ton. Holy smokes, that's crazy. Jeez.
It's been a while ago.
This might change my process if I use 2 drifts in one heat. Holy smokes.
Sorry.
Okay. Any questions on drifts or drifting? Anything like that? Okay. It's probably my favorite part of forging an axe, drifting. It's because I just get to swing the hammer. It doesn't take any thinking. You're just shoving something in there. I love it. Okay, it might be hot. Yeah. We'll turn the press on. Thank you. All right. So if you have a 60 ton, one tip that I can give you right now, be really careful because your axe will get crooked really fast because this thing forges a lot. Gee. So sometimes I'll go half on, half off. If you have a 25 ton like me, that's what I have to do. I don't have to with this crest. But see, I flip it, right? Because it was getting kind of crooked there. Because the machines are not perfect. You want to use both sides if you can. Get that drift out as fast as you can. Because it does not belong there. Always upset your axe a little bit. And you can see it's getting crooked. It's not perfect. It ain't gonna be perfect until I'm done. Even after I'm done, it won't be perfect, you know? So, just forge, and then I'm gonna pick a side that I wanna drift next based on what it looks like. So you can see, this pole is going that way a little bit, right? That way. So what I wanna do, I want to drift the top side right here. I want that, the bottom, to be forged down. I don't grind off those lugs just yet. I leave them. Thank you. I don't really grind the lugs very early Just because you're forging, you're drifting, you're compressing it down, they might just forge themselves eventually, you know? So I'll wait. I will get the next drift ready. Oop. And another thing with drifts, keep them cool as well. Really, really keep them cool. I've had these drifts for probably a year, and they've forged over 200 axes. Okay, H13 is great as long as it's cool. Okay, any steel is great as long as it's cool. Just make sure that it stays cool, especially on hammer drifts. A lot of you guys are forging hammers, right? And those drifts are a lot smaller. They heat up way faster. This thing doesn't heat up very fast. This thing will last me 2 years. But a hammer drift, I'm not just an axe maker, I make some hammers too. But hammer drift's it's gonna heat up a lot faster. This is a hammer drift that heated up too much and I can't use it anymore. But I use it for driving out drifts. So keep them cool, that's really important. And they'll last forever, they really will. The only thing that makes this one, I'll have to make a new one for this soon, and this one's a year and a half old too, is you can see the press, like 2, maybe 3 times, that axe was too cold, and I shoved that drift in there, and something's gonna fail. It's gonna drag that surface down and make it not come out easily. Because before it was nice, smooth ground finish and everything, and it would just fall out. It ain't gonna fall out anymore. All that steel does is just get into those valleys and those pockets and the hollows, and it just cinches up on it. So be really careful with that. But yeah, if you're gonna make your own drifts, please don't use 4140. Please, I hate to just rag on 4140. That stuff, I made one 4140 axe drift and it's still in the axe today, okay?
I don't have it.
Please don't use 4140.
I use 4140.
What's that? When you put it in press and it gets not even red, it will get an hourglass in it and lock into that axe to where you'll just mushroom the end so much you can't get it out. So, and H13 will do that too. If you leave that thing in there too long and forge it on that press, it's gonna get hourglassed. But yeah, you can use S7 too. I know a lot of people that use S7. That's pretty good steel. Just because the hardness, it stays hard for a long time after it's really hot. So we'll turn this on. Perfect. Okay, see how that kind of set in there automatically? It just goes right in. Now there's not a whole lot of forging to do. I'm actually going to start on this side and just flatten it. Not very much. Upset a little bit. And then drive it out. And we're going to drive it through the other side as well, because this drift is not hot yet. We'll even flatten it on this side, not doing a whole lot of forging here. Just kind of straightening it out. I'm not really moving steel here. All I'm really doing is making it look pretty, and I did not upset it. That might have been a mistake, but we'll see. Woo. Yeah, we're gonna upset it. There we go. Okay. Wouldn't recommend that doing it at home, or wouldn't recommend doing that at home. But since we're demoing today, I'm gonna try and work fast for you guys. So that pull is still going that way, okay? I actually like that, because on a Tassie, I want that kind of angle right there. That'll be the bottom of the axe. So we've already determined the bottom, and we're just gonna work with that and remember that. So I'll drift the bottom next. And we should, I'll probably keep forging with the same drift, just because I know the next drift that I'm using is really big. And like I said, it doesn't really fit nicely inside of this drift. It's way bigger than this drift. So what I'll do if I have something like that is keep forging with the same drift size, and the more you forge on one drift, the more the eye is going to get stretched open. So if I was to just stop going up and just use this drift, I'd probably have a little cold shut in the front of the axe head, because it's going to spread out, you know. So I'll keep doing this one. I'll make it really nice and flat and pretty, because I know that this next drift, it's not much thicker. Okay, get a little closer. But it's way wider. Okay, a lot wider. I want that axe eye to lengthen as much as I can. So I'll keep forging with this one. The fact that this drift is not much wider is really useful, because I'm not going to spread that eye open anymore and have to draw out any more metal on the lugs, the cheeks, whatever you call it. All it's going to do is make my axe longer, which is really nice, because it will just prevent me from getting a cold shut. And the good thing about splitting axes is you don't forge the front of the eye very much. Okay, they stay the same thickness as they started, maybe an inch. If you're starting out with an inch, it stays an inch thick. So the likelihood of you getting a cold shut is very, very low. One thing I don't like about some axes is you'll see where they have the eye of the axe, and right here at the front of the eye, it'll just whoosh, dive right in. And it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a fighter jet or something. It's really weird looking. But that, in my opinion, is not an efficient way to make an axe. For one, you draw this way too much. You're manipulating that way too much. Really hard to get that straight and keep it straight. Also, when you're actually chopping through wood, it's going to give you more drag, right? So you want it to be a nice, even swoop. Okay, if you're making a chopping axe, make it a nice, even, slow swoop instead of just boom and then boom, straight, flat. And if you're making a splitting axe, it's like a bullet shape. You know, if you guys can think of a bullet, they're pretty much the same thickness, and then boom, right to the tip, right? A lot of splitting happens when you're splitting firewood with an axe. Most of the splitting happens maybe 2 inches or an inch from the edge. It's not way up on the axe like some people think. So if you see some like store-bought axes that have the ramps on them, they're okay, but they're not as good as something that's fat right at the top, at the tip, because they're not gonna split it open and blow it open fast. And if you think about it, when do you chop a piece of wood? If it's super hard wood, how far in does your axe head go, or does your bit go? Like an inch, maybe 2 inches, right? Not very far. So if it's thin right there, it's not really gonna do much spreading. That's the way I think of it. Yeah, got a lot of people that split like firewood for a living and give me a lot of tips, so it's really, really helpful. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm kind of, how much of that actually weigh?
Somewhere around 5 pounds, yeah.
Drop down to
Mhm.
how much smaller stop with your second shred? How much smaller of the eye? Is there a relationship to when you go to hang that?
Yeah.
what you do on the hill?
Yes, there is. So generally, I'll use this full-size axe drift. The question was, is there a correlation between the drift size you use and the weight of the head? Is that correct? Okay. This is my full-size drift. I'll use this for anything up to 10 pounds. Okay. This amount of wood is not really going to break unless you overstrike. I'll stop with this drift on a 4 pound and under. Okay, it's a pretty good sized drift. It might look a little short to some people, but it's really fat when you look at it compared to like a store-bought axe. And I'll stop with this drift on a 2.5 pound axe, like a camp axe. Okay. The more wood inside your head, the better. Okay. No pun intended. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna keep going with this drift. So like the axe that he just bought, it's a 2 pound axe. I used a pretty big drift because I don't want that handle to break. Yeah, that's got a pretty big eye. That's around a 2 pound head, and some people would use a hatchet eye for that. I don't always use that big of an eye, but I was like, I don't want that one to break. So. Depends on the steel you're using, in my opinion, and the use. If you want somebody to smash it with a hammer, make them a little thick. I've made some thin axes and had them smashed with S7. It doesn't do anything. You can look at this axe. That's a good thickness, in my opinion, for a general axe. So we're definitely ready to go now. We'll keep forging with this second to largest drift. Just set it in there. And then we're just going to straighten this thing out because I want it to look better. And we'll try and do both sides on one heat this time. You know what? Flip it over. I'm going to forge the bit just a little bit because that'll kind of hit the front of the drift and the bit at the same time and keep it very straight. Should come out. Work really fast so it doesn't get too hot. And then I'm not really going to work the middle with this. I'm going to work more of the top. I don't want it to collapse the eye at all. Flip it over. Half on, half off type deal. And now it's way straighter. I like it much better. Get this out as fast as I can. Okay. All right. That happens all day long. Pretty straight, okay? That's because we're working the back right here. That straightens the pull and the bit, okay? Now I'm comfortable to go up to the pull size, drift size. Because you can see it sets in a little bit, all right? Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And I can grind the front of that drift a little bit before. And we're gonna go through the bottom. I always go through the bottom. Thank you. Another thing, we're going to start forging the bit soon. And one thing I always remember, when you're forging the bit with a drift inside, when you forge the front of that eye, for some reason it locks your drift in. For some reason, especially if you go to a new drift size. So if I were to put this drift in, all the way in, get it seated correctly, and then start forging like the top of the eye, spreading it a little bit, spreading it up, I may not get it out. It's really weird. I don't know why, but for some reason it locks them in. So always remember that. With hammers, it's not quite the same because you don't really have a tapered drift, but For some reason, where did that axe I had right here go? Does anybody know? Oh, I guess I could show it with yours. I'll grab the head. So if I try not to get it too dirty. If I put a new drift inside this one, right, going down, and then I forge this area, it locks the drift in. I don't know why. Unless you have a lot hanging out the top, right, and you can hammer it out, it's really difficult to get that drift out, especially on the Tassies. This drift is long enough that it'll go basically flush with the other side of the head when it's all the way through, and I can hammer it. But if you can't actually physically hammer your drift, it's really hard to get it out. That's why I always recommend make super long drifts. For one, when you hourglass a part of it, you can go deeper and just not use that hourglass anymore, or grind it down, and just keep using the higher part of the drift. And if you can drive it further down to where you can have 2 inches sticking out of the other side that you can hammer to get it out, way better. When I first started making axes, I had a set of drifts that I made that never were long enough to go far. Something's smoking, but that's the drift. I never had a set of drifts that went further than halfway through the head. And I had to use my drift driver every single heat. It cut down my forging time in half when I made the correct length drifts. So that's really important. That's why your hammer drifts are so long, because you can just keep driving. You always have tons of space to hammer it out. I do need to grind that, so I'll do that real quick. You'll get some drag on the front of your drift sometimes. Just grind that off. Just makes it fit in the hole easier next time. Okay, so on these big ones, I always make sure they're really nice. Makes them go in easier, because we'll see on the 60 ton, I've only done it on a 25, but sometimes it's really difficult to get this thing in. So, yeah, we'll do that now. Should be pretty hot. Perfect. Okay. So this one's yeah, there we go. Oop. Okay. That went in straight, thankfully. So all I'm going to do is just kind of flatten it, upset it, and get that thing out of there. Because this thing locks in really hard sometimes. Okay. This might be a heat it back up situation. Oh, no. I want the tongs. Okay. starts sparking, that's when I put it back in the forge. We'll just kind of hang it out there. That happens sometimes. That stinking, that drift gets stuck in there. So it's totally fine, just heat it back up. The drift will get hot and it'll come out easier. We'll shut that a little bit more. Let's see. Whew. So you see what I mean by it not coming out enough for you to hammer on it really good? Yeah, that's the problem with Tazies is everything needs to be big and strong, and it sucks. So we'll heat that back up. It'll come out, hopefully. We'll see. Any questions? Yes. Can I split a donut in half? You bet I can. I got a pocket knife. I bet you the 60 ton will do it. Any other questions? Could I? Yeah. Yes, I could.
I like the
I definitely could.
small.
Have I? No. I wish I had. That's actually a very good idea, but I don't really make tools for myself that often. I just kind of make do with what I have. And I'd probably be a lot faster if I did make tools for myself, but yeah, I'm not that smart. Yeah. I agree. Okay. Let it heat up a little bit more, I guess.
Maybe another question. Why are axe knives shaped how they are?
I have no idea. My best guess would be because they're narrow. So like a hammer is 2 inches thick, you know? You're starting with a 2 inch thick billet and you don't really end with something much thinner. Except for a rounding hammer, they might be a little thinner. But an axe, if you use a correct size like hammer eye, your axe is probably going to be 2 inches thick as well, which that's a big axe. Yeah. It could be. It really could be. Charles was saying that maybe it's from when axes were folded and forge welded. That's just kind of the natural shape that they had. That's actually a pretty good assumption, or a good idea. I'm looking for my drift, but it's actually in forge. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. Use this now. Okay. The reason I can make an axe is because I know how to fix all my screw-ups. So now you can see that eye is huge, okay? That's what it started out as. That's how big it is now. Okay, that's a full-size axe. How it was, how it is, much bigger. Okay. And you can see my drift did not really get that messed up. It's not really that mushroom. Because I didn't just sit there and hammer on it for hours and hours, right? So just heat it back up. I wouldn't really quench it right now. I'd wait for it to get a little bit blacker. But it's okay. Sometimes you just have to sit back and say, okay, I can fix this. Might take a little while, but I can fix it. What you can do is take this to the, if you did mushroom it, you can take this while it's still hot to the anvil, kind of force down the mushrooming. You'll have a cup on the top, which is okay. It may just mushroom a little bit later, but your drift will last longer. So I can quench that now. Any questions about getting a drift that is stuck out? No? I guess nobody else has that problem except me. Oh, did I not use punch lube on this? I did? Okay. I was gonna say that was my problem if I didn't.
Yeah. You step it up.
Any questions?
Yeah, I can nap. I can.
None? Okay. We should be onto the bit soon.
Have you made a carving axe before?
I haven't. Oh, well, you know what I have? Just a regular axe with, more of an upsweep and a flat grind on one side,
On both sides?
on both sides. Oh, yeah. Are you talking about like the bevel's flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bevel's flat.
I've done an axe where it's completely flat on the one side and then you have the bevel the other side. I've done that.
Hewing axe. Is that like that? That's what you're saying?
Yes, exactly like that. And then I've also done an axe that has a bevel on both sides with some upsweep so you can get into the corners. Yeah. Only a couple though.
Favorite thing to make.
I'm not sure. Money? Yeah. I'd say Tassie. They're really cool when they're done. And they're very useful. Either that or a National, which is a logging axe. It's kind of the opposite of a Tassie. It's short and has a long pole. That's for banging wedges on trees when you're falling trees. Those are really cool. Let's see. Better turn that off.
Just shut off.
Well, you just pull the trigger with it. Rather than in the truck, and then they'll blast it back through.
So we'll go through the same side on the eye one more time. And then we'll go from the other side and do the bit.
Yeah, I hired you, Evan, to work for me and do videography for
Yep.
me. Maybe. Full time. How well? You can start.
Set right in. Whoa. Not forwarding very much. Don't want to go too far. Kind of just want to get it out, and then I'll try and drift it from the other side. We'll see if I can.
No, you're good. Good at your job. Really good. Too many people don't care. Leave it on.
Let's see if I can just get it out right. Okay, so next heat we'll just flatten up the top and start working on the pit. You can see it's staying straight because I'm just cleaning it up every heat. You just want to keep it clean as much as you can. Thank you. Oh, shouldn't have set that down. How am I doing on time?
Take all night.
What's everybody's favorite steel to forge? What's everybody's favorite steel to forge? 4140? Yeah? You like 1095? Oh, wow. I'm jealous.
Big 1018 guy.
Wow. Big 1018 guy? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I haven't forged a mile in a long time. Yeah, that's fun stuff. Yeah. 5160 is easy to find.
Have you made a 10-pound axe before?
I've made an 11-pound axe, yeah.
Why?
Just because. I mean, I was like, other axe manufacturers make 10, 12-pound mauls. I'm like, I got to do it too, you know? Might as well. Biggest hammer I made?
Yeah.
I think that was an 8-pound. Yeah, that was big. That was big. It's actually easier to get big axe steel for me than it is big hammer steel. I live in a place in a faraway land that is very difficult to get steel in, and hickory. And I'm an axe maker, which sucks. Okay. The heaviest axe I've made, 11 pounds. Almost as heavy as you.
Probably heavier.
Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, that's definitely ready. Yeah, we're good. Nice thing about axes is, the more you forge, the quicker they heat back up. Thank you. So same thing here. We're gonna work both sides. Work that bit. So now it's pretty straight, okay? And we're gonna move on to the bit next heat. Actually, well, yeah, we'll just heat it up. Good. So, I don't worry about the lugs even still. I just keep them on. I'll grind them off later. But we'll start working on the bit. You can see this side is actually almost 90 degrees to the pole. So it kind of explains what I was explaining earlier, but visually. So that'll be the top of the axe. This will be the bottom. You can kind of see this bottom wants to go down. That's what I like in an axe, okay? So we'll forge the bit. And how I forge the bit is with these half round dies. You can see that I ground a, this is literally just 2.5 inch round S7 cut in half on the bandsaw. I ground this radius in the very end of the die.
I'm gonna be asleep tomorrow.
And that's so when I forge the bit, right, I'm gonna start, if you can envision the head right here, it's kind of facing this way, I'm gonna start forging the bit halfway down, and I'm gonna do half on, half off on the edge right here. That'll draw the bit down, but the edge doesn't dig in and create a sharp cold shut area kind of type thing. And also, when I'm working the area right at the front of the eye, okay, I can actually forge that, and it will make a nice swoop right there for the bevels. It'll be really nice. And I'll show you that later just because I suck at explaining things. So I'll actually just show you, and it's much better. But I'll switch these over to the 25 ton now because I need some arm room on the other side. I didn't know how I would do with the DPC, but I'm actually getting used to it. And this is where you really want to make sure that your dies are lined up. Because if they're off, your axe is going to be crooked and it's going to be so difficult to straighten it back out. It really is. So what I do is, even in my personal press that I know is pretty straight, I'll just watch it every single heat, check for straightness. Even in the beginning with the eye punched. When you're flattening out those cheeks, make sure it's straight. Even with hammers, always make sure things are straight. It may not need to look pretty, but make sure it can go back to straight if it isn't straight. But if those half round dies are off just a little bit, I think it'll take a nosedive or go to the moon, and it'll be very hard to fix with a hammer. So we will make sure to watch that. I don't need my drifts anymore. I may start brushing, but I don't want to burn pants. Let's see. This is where I use some hammer tongs in the eye, just like you would for a hammer. Just get a bigger pair, and they work great for axes too, up to 11 pounds. Any questions on forging the bit or anything? Okay. Maybe there will be if I screw something up. How does that look? Oh, wow. Man, that thing's getting hot quick. It's nice to preset your press so it's already there. You don't have to wait for it to get down. So if you can see, I'll start forging it halfway down. With maybe an inch of the die right there. And then I'll come right in front of the eye and take a little bite right there. You can see exactly where I pressed, okay? That's gonna get your freeform for your chassis. Then I'll come in right here and forge it straight out, right? And then I'll flip it over and forge diagonal for the heel of the axe. Going really, really slow. So you can see there's a bend right there at the bottom. Those dies, they're not perfectly in line. So what I'm gonna have to do is either flip it over or try and straighten them out a little bit, but my personal press does that too. I'm pretty used to that. So, yeah. By the way, this is the heel, this is the toe, if I ever reference that. Hopefully you guys, can everybody see that pretty good? Is it okay? I know you guys are probably seeing my, oh, look at that, wow. Holy smokes. Okay, well that's good to know. So yes, I draw it down first, and then I'll come to the toe, right, draw that out, and then I'll forge diagonal on the heel, okay? You don't really want to draw it straight out on the heel, because you just did all that work to draw it down. If you forge it straight out, it's going to get rid of your swoop, okay? Let's see. Well, we're good on tools here. Pretty close. I was within 1/8 of an inch on that. I can try and show you next week. It's okay if you collapse it a little bit. Your drift will open it back up, as long as you're not taking and closing it all the way. Oh yeah, quite a few times. Oh, sorry.
Somebody might have asked this. Who's your favorite axe maker?
Who's my favorite axe maker?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody you
I
follow?
try not to pay attention too much of other people's axes, because I have a brain where if I see something, I want to make it, and I don't want to step on any toes with like, oh, hey guys, here's this axe I made, and someone else made it last week, I think Hoffman's really good. He forges nice axes. But I don't really pay attention to the market. I literally try to not follow axe makers because of that reason. I have the brain, like I'll talk about Farham, Jacob Farham. Does everybody know who he is? He makes he made really nice axes, hammers. Anything he made was super nice. And I got a lot of my inspiration for hammers from him. And like if I saw his stuff, I'm like, oh dang, I want to make that because that's so cool. So I have a problem with that. So I try not to follow people too much. But yeah. Do I make very many double bits? Not very many, but I do make them, yes. They suck. Yeah, they suck. I hate them. It's very difficult to get both bits straight. It really is. So like where that's bent a little bit, if that bends on both sides, like, getting them straight together is really difficult, especially with S7. But I really like them. I think they're super cool. And I actually have made, have you seen the vintage like diamond eye double bits? Where it's a double bit and if you look at the top of it, it looks like a diamond. They're cool. I made one of those. It's basically just flat right here and a flat right there, and it comes to a point right at the center of the eye. And they're really cool axes. I really like them. So I made one of those. I make them to where they look basically like a camp axe, but if you doubled it, and then I have a lug on the bottom and it's pointed. So it looks kind of cool. Most of the axes I make are for loggers or splitting axes like this.
Is there a difference in the splitting axe versus a logging axe?
Yes, big difference. So with a splitting axe, you're just going to be splitting wood most of the time. So you're just swinging it forward. Most of that weight, like on this axe, is forward, going forward. On a logging axe, or a wedge banger is what I call it, most of the weight is actually on the pull. So when I make that billet's almost that long on some of them, and I'll punch the eye like a double bit, but it's a single bit eye, and I punch it right in the middle. And I leave that pull. Sometimes those pulls are that long. And that's just so those guys can really beat the wedges. And they say like a 4-pounder from me hits like a 5-pounder, like a vintage axe, like a vintage 5-pounder, just because there's so much mass behind the face of that pull. And that also makes it thin enough because a falling wedge is about 1.25 inches thick. So I make them like 1 1/8 inch, 1 1/4, so they can pound it beneath the surface of the tree. Because sometimes when you're falling a tree, you got to pound the wedge beneath your kerf, or like past, like you have the bark, you got to pound it past there to just get it over. And it makes it really, really nice for that. But yeah, big. They're short and long, really long. I made one the other week. It was about that long, and it was only 4 pounds. Well, it's like a double bit, but with a long pole, super, super thin. Yeah. Okay, tongs. Turn this on. So I'm not really going to forge in front of the eye. I'm going to focus right on the edge of the bit right now. Right there. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to keep this really hot. Next time, I'm going to forge the very, very edge, but you can see it's kind of getting that splitting profile. I'm not really going to touch right there. Ooh, that's hot. I'm not really going to keep forging by the eye. I'm done with that. It looks. Okay. That is cool. I like that. It's interesting. As far as I just kind of had a thought come in my head. When you finish forging your axe, the thickness, let me turn the press off. The thickness of the edge when you're done forging is going to vary based on the axe that you're making. So if you're making a chopping axe, it's kind of like a knife. Kind of, I guess it's more exaggerated with an axe. But when you're making a chopping axe, you might finish that edge just forging it straight off the anvil, 1/8 inch thick. Have to do it like a bevel, a little bevel. With a forging axe, I usually go for 3/16, somewhere around there, because that allows me to grind that bullet into the tip, into the edge right there. If you forge it thin, it'll be, so like on a lighter forging axe, I kind of forge them a little bit thinner, because obviously if you have less weight on your head, it's going to get into the wood with less force. So you're going to need something a little bit thinner to get in there first and then start splitting stuff open. With a 5-pounder, 6, 7-pounder, just make them thick and they'll bust anything open. Yeah, so based on what you want to do or based on the pattern, you might leave the lugs on the bottom. So if I left the lugs on the bottom of this axe, it'd probably look kind of like a jersey, if you guys know what that is. They have the lugs on the bottom with a straight kind of taper. You can leave the lugs on the top. I believe some Viking pattern have those designs. For a Tassie, it's just flat. So I'm going to grind them off for the Tassie. That's how they're always done. Just kind of depends on what you want to do. For smaller axes, I usually go for lugs at least on the bottom because that increases your surface area contact on the handle. Because you don't have the tall pole. I mean, the Tassie, you got 4 inches of contact. Yeah. Yeah.
They're doing side shop, saying they make one of those radius that they like on the cutting edge.
Yeah, so there is. It does, because it reduces your surface area contact. So the question was on a racing axe. So if any of you guys have seen like timber sports, the competitions where the guys are chopping as fast as they can through the perfect logs on the stands, the axes have a pretty aggressive radius to them on the edge. And that is because you're reducing your surface area contact and rocking it out of the wood, it comes out easier. If you can imagine, just imagine a flat-bladed axe. That's kind of gonna suck. The corners are gonna dig into your wood, and you try to pull it out. It's gonna be like pulling a nail out. It's gonna be horrible. So it has an extreme radius. The middle of the axe is gonna touch first, and it's gonna rock out of there really easily. Now, the particular radius they have is, if you ever looked at an actual racing axe, near the pull, there's a little dot. It looks like a dot. It's actually a dimple, and it's where we set a set of calipers, put it in that dimple, and make a circle for the edge. Yep. Yeah. So if you have an axe, right? This is the bit. This is the pull. It'll be somewhere around the middle on the side of the axe, right next to the pull. They'll take those calipers and scribe right there on the edge, and it'll make a perfect line for your edge. That's what we do. Okay. Forging the bit. Okay, so now I'm just going to get that edge pretty dang thin and work both sides. And the bit is just wide enough that I can't fit it across my dies, but I do the best I can. You want to forge both ways. Then I'll come back a little bit and just kind of give it a kiss. Clean it up a little bit. Now we basically have a straight taper. Okay? Actually, this is probably the better side to look at. So you can see how thin that edge is. That's pretty much what I look for. Right there. I'll grind that off. Or another tip is, if you have a new anvil, leave a little bit of your corner on your anvil perfectly sharp. You can take that bit and put it over the edge and hammer it until it almost gets through, and then you can just break it off. That'll probably blow your minds or make you pissed off or something that I'm hitting the edge of an anvil, but I do it and it lasts. If you do it really hot, it won't do anything to your anvil. Just don't go all the way through. Go until you can fold it a couple times and then it'll fall off. I really don't like grinding while things are hot because I have to put my spacesuit on. So I try to do that as much as I can. I won't do that here because that's not a brand new anvil. I'll take it to the grinder. But yeah, it's a good little tip if you guys don't mind using the edge of your anvil a little bit. Okay, probably cool these down a little bit. Where's Andrew? Don't look. What's that? No, I don't.
Is that the one that makes the inlays and somebody else?
Okay. That's what we'll do now. So I didn't really think about what I was supposed to do next, but what I'm supposed to do is take these bevel dies, put them in the press, and we'll bevel it now. I try to wait on all my grinding for as long as I can, so I can do it all at once, right? That really is more efficient in my opinion. So I'll bevel this. It usually takes about one heat, not too much. It'll also, it's really cool, because if your axe is a little bit too short, it'll make it much taller, because it just takes that material and spreads it up and spreads it down. I really like it, because Tazies are super tall, especially in front of the eye, and it helps make it look much better. So like if you're forging a Jersey type axe where it has a straight beard, I guess you could call it, these dies, if you make it a curved at first, and you use a bevel die like that, it'll actually make it straight instead of curved. Just draw it down. So we'll switch these. I always try to preset the press, because you're sitting there with a hot axe and it's just cooling off, so I really hate that. Where's my other? Okay. So see, it's kind of curved right now. I'll take that, put one end right up to the eye, do the other end, flip it over. Ooh. You can see I have those bevels now. Looks kind of cool. So you can see now your axe head is convex. The only thing touching is the middle of the head. That's really important to me. And now it's a more straight beard. So now what I can do is I can re-drift it and clean everything up, do some hand hammering, make sure it's straight, and then finally do the grinding. Make sure it's straight.
See what's that?
Get my drift ready. Whew. Any questions? It's coming along. Should be pretty good. It's not going to hurt anything, no. Yeah. On a hatchet, I don't really do it just because it's kind of pointless. And those are way too big for a hatchet anyway, so. Nope. The good thing is I made them convex enough that I can, on a smaller head, I'll just move the one, if I just put the axe in like this, right, I'll just have the one edge right there and then I'll go over there and then flip it and go back. Yeah, so I try not to make too many tools. So if I can use it for more than one axe, I'll do that. And we were talking about cold or work hardening H13 yesterday. That is mushroomed H13 right there. When it gets hot over and over and over and over again, it just softens. It just softens. That's probably hot. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, see, it doesn't fall in anymore. That scale. So now, you might be able to notice I'm nibbling at the front of the eye. So, I don't know if I'm supposed to shut that off while it's moving. You can see I kind of took a nibble out the front of the eye right there. That's what I was explaining earlier about the dies being able to use the corner right there and make a nice sweep. I'll explain it at length when I actually get this thing out and safe. Because, as you can see, when you do that, it really locks in your drift. And for some reason, hammering the front of the drift actually gets it out every time. It's weird. But you can see the difference here with the front of the eye. Okay, it's smooth. This has got a ridge in it. I hate that. I'll get rid of that even more with a hand hammer when I'm almost done. So I will straighten up the other side and get rid of that ridge again. And then grind it. I'll grind it and then do hand hammering. And it'll be mostly hand hammering from there. Bad thing about axes is you got to do a lot of hand hammering. What's that? No, not today. You don't want to be here until midnight. No, you don't want to be here until 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, oh yeah, I can do that. S7 in particular it wasn't at first for me, but now it's extremely picky about what you do after you forge it. So when I'm done with this, I'll stick that in the forge, shut the forge off, and close the doors. And let it cool down completely before I heat treat it, because if I don't, it cracks. For some reason, it cracks. It'll crack right at the top of the eye, right in front of the eye. It's really weird. I don't know why it does that. When I first started using X7, I didn't do that, and it never cracked. But then I started getting a problem where they were cracking, and I was like, started annealing them or normalizing, whatever you call it, and went away. I guess it just, the grain structure of the alloy likes it much better. So yeah, definitely do that. After I normalize it, grind it, obviously make it nice, stick it in the kiln. I do 1740 degrees for an hour, somewhere around an hour. Hold it. I quench in, what the heck is it? AAA? Is it called AAA? Yeah. I use AAA quench oil. Don't use Parks 50. It's not a water. It'll quench too fast. It'll probably crack it. I use AAA and then let it cool down to room temperature. Don't just stick it right back in the kiln for tempering. Let it cool down. Clean off all your oil so it doesn't make stains and stuff. And then I do 450 for 3 hours. Yeah. Want to really temper it. Yeah. Hot temper, and it stays hard, and it's indestructible. Indestructible. They're not so hard that if you hit a rock, it's gonna chip. It'll just kind of bend it, you know? But if you smash it with a sledgehammer, you won't have any marks at all. It's just really tough, and that's how I prefer them. I used to do like a 400 degree temper. I actually did an abuse test video on one of them with a very thin pole, and I got it to crack down the pole. And that's after smashing it with a 12-pound sledgehammer for like 2 hours. Yeah. So I upped the temper to 450, did the same test again, nothing happened, I couldn't do it. And I was hammering it into a piece of black walnut that would not split. It was like a double trunk with a burl on it. I barely got the axe out. Had to use a splitting wedge to get the axe out. But yeah, 450 temper makes it way better. Can't remember what I was. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing next. Where's my drift at? Oop. And believe it or not, water quenching your drifts, even though they're age 13, won't make them crack. I've never had a drift crack. I just wouldn't get the sucker up to yellow and then water quench it. Okay. That's good. I like where this forge sits. It doesn't scale up real bad. It falls off pretty easy. See? Drifting it from the other side kind of opened up this side. So now it just sets in. We'll just clean this up real fast. Clean up the front of that eye. Just little nibbles. Get the drift out. Keep it hot. So let's look at the straightness here. You can see my bit is going a little bit this way compared to the eye, right? Like that. That's okay. What I'll do is I'll take it, put it on the anvil flat like this, and hammer this right there in front of the eye, the middle. And that'll draw it over most of the way, and not be too bad. But it's time to grind it. So I'll stick my spacesuit on. Ooh, I may have left that in the truck. That's okay. That'd be great. Thank you. Quickest. Oh, okay. I'll definitely do that. Ooh. It's that F7. Turn it down a little bit. Okay. I just won't push as hard. That? Okay, so I just took the lugs off here. Now you can see it looks kind of funny, huh? It's got a downward sweep. Don't freak out if your axe does that. What you're going to do is start hand forging the edge, and that edge will move right back up so it doesn't have that hump in the top there. Especially when you forge the edge the way I tell you to forge the edge, which is you forge these corners more than you forge the middle. On a splitting axe, you always want the middle to be the thickest. Again, just the same as these billets, you want the edge to be the same. When you get done grinding a splitting axe, it should ideally have what's called a banana grind, okay, where it's actually literally a smiley face in your edge. It's really cool looking when you do it right. Just leave them thick in the middle, so you can see how thick that edge is, right? That is really thick. I'm gonna forge that by hand. I'm gonna forge that down, but I'm not gonna forge the middle much. I'm only gonna forge these corners. And I'm gonna draw them down as much as I can. Usually the heel is a little bit thinner, which it is, so I'll forge that a little bit less. But I'm definitely gonna go get my spacesuit before I do any of that, because I don't feel like getting something in my eye today. Could somebody run out to my truck and grab it's a 3M respirator? Yeah, I'll give you the keys. It's if you go out this door. Oh, is that my wife? Babe? Well, you have Joshua. You want to hold him, Dave? That'd be cool. I think you do. You want to go grab my respirator, please? My respirator. That's the white thing, and the black thing with the belt on it on the bottom. Thank you, baby. I don't recommend doing that without stuff. I'm demoing, okay? I squint, you know? But when I'm forging, I don't mess around with that. I don't want to go blind. Forging on the press, I found I don't really get anything in my face. But when I forge on the anvil, especially axes, you have this massive surface area of scale to just, every time you hit it, straight in your face. So I'll put on a respirator for that. Yeah. Any question? Oh, yeah. It's a 3M. I think it's called a 3M paper. PAPR. Yeah. It's kind of like what Leah was wearing, but instead of mine being like a hard helmet, it's a soft one. It's a lot lighter and easier on your neck, because I wear it for like 10, 12 hours. Your neck feels like you got a 20-pound weight on your head. How sharp? When I'm done forging or when I'm done grinding it? It'll shave. You can feel. Oh, he's probably gone, but oh yeah. When I'm done forging, it'll be the corner. Did you see how thick it was right now? It'll be a little bit thinner than that in the middle, and then the edges, before I grind it, will almost be zero, almost. Because I'll take those edges, those corners back a little bit, and it'll be 2 or 3 credit cards. My handles, like the thickness and stuff. Oh, the shape for a splitting axe, I go straight. I love straight handles with a hook at the bottom for the palm swell. I don't just want a straight with nothing on the end of it. Just makes it to where you can literally just not grip and just whip it. For most other axes, I like a little bit of a curve, not too much. Big palm swell. I hate small palm swells because it makes your hand work way harder. Way harder. I make my handles, yeah. I buy 8-quarter hickory and cut them down myself.
I hedge that way because my tent ends at...
Yeah, everything on my axes is done by me. Yeah, a lot.
We'll see how it goes.
Which way do I want the grain oriented? I just want the grain straight. Oh, towards the front. Of course, yeah. I mean, if you have a curved handle, you don't want your grain to run out when your axe curves. You want your grain to follow the axe. But on a hammer handle, doesn't matter, I don't think. I've actually seen a test. I can't remember who did it, but it was on YouTube. Did Ethan do it? Ethan Hardy did a test on hammer handles on how they break, and he actually found that hammer handles with grain going perpendicular to the face is stronger. So everybody thinks that it follows the same principle as an axe handle, where it has to be parallel with the bit. With hammers, it's actually perpendicular to the face. Either way, I've found that they both last. It's not like a huge difference, but he found that the handles of particular grain were the strongest because the hammer handle is straight and it's short. Yep. Do I do my leather? Yes. Every single piece of my axe is from these hands. Let's see here. Whew, it's getting hot. I know what I can do. Need my drift. So instead of forging the bit this time, I'll actually just start smoothing out the cheeks area and the pull. Do the bottom first. Usually like to do the bottom first. Take this. Not gonna do a whole lot here, but smooth out that ridge like I kind of showed you guys. And then the pull kind of has a curve to it, and I want to fix that. And then I'll do what I told you guys where I'll hit right there on the front of the eye, and this will actually be a really good demonstration. Now that's colder than I want it to, but I actually was able to pretty well straighten out that axe. So it's not perfect yet, but one heat, when you hit in the right place, it straightens out. It's not that difficult. And S7 does not like to move or bend. If you put pressure in the right area, you can do anything you want. So you can see it's still a little crooked. Okay, I'm gonna keep working on it. Little crooked. Okay. So what I'm not gonna do is stick this thing in the vise and beat it and trying to move it over. It's really, really difficult to do that in my experience because your axe is thickest right in front of the eye. And if you're trying to bend, just take that material and bend it and force it, it's not really gonna work, in my experience at least. But if you do put the pressure and force the right side, if your axe is like this, if you hit this hump right here, right, it's gonna straighten it out a little bit. That's what I always try to do. It's just like straightening out a knife, guys. If your knife has a hump, you always hit the hump. Just hit the hump and it'll straighten out. Sometimes axes are a little bit more complicated than that, unfortunately. But just keep hitting the right spots, and I'll try to show you guys. This is a great demonstration axe because it's not perfectly straight. I'm actually glad it didn't turn out that way because that would have made it too easy. Oh, almost forgot where the water was. For these last few heats, I'm not really worrying about punch lube too much because the eye is already the right size. It's just kind of going to come out. Any questions? Okay. Should be getting a little bit hot here. This is actually going smoother than I thought. Thank you. So now we'll forge top side. That just a little bit more. I'm gonna hit that one ridge right at the top there first. And this anvil's not perfectly flat, so it helps straighten it. I like that. Okay, so I'm hitting the same side, the same place. And what I'm seeing is this bevel, this side, is not as deep as the other side. So I'm actually gonna fix that right now because that'll determine the straightness of the axe. Move it over to the flat side. Just blend in your hammer marks. Ooh. Uh-oh. Woo. Okay. Oops. I always drop it once at least. So that's definitely getting cold now. So that's even straighter now. I'll get the drift out before I show you guys. Yeah, that's not bad now. So now it's almost straight. Okay, 2 heats, 1 on each side, and it's almost there. Oh, perfect, thank you. So what I want to do now is I've forged both sides of this area, right? Now I'm going to move to the bit. Turns out we didn't have to squish the pole in order to make it longer. The thing's just, that's plenty tall enough. That's a Tassie right there. So now what I'm primarily going to do is work these 2 corners of the bit, okay? Because I want that banana grind. Try and get that spacesuit on here. Oop. Thank you, baby. Okay. Hopefully this works with the microphone. What do you guys think so far? Pretty cool? Yeah, thank you. I've done so many of them, it really helps explain them. It really does. It's interesting getting this information out of my head too, because you do it every single day and then it's like it gets stored in your head. And this gives me a chance to explain everything. So that's really cool. All right. Ooh, this will be interesting. This is the hood I was talking about. It's soft. And it keeps your head cool too. Does feel kind of girly though. All right. It's a little cold. Okay. So, there you are. You can see it's a little thinner on the corners. It's starting to get a flat finish. Instead of having those press marks, when you go to grind that bevel, it's going to look much nicer. Do we have a magnet or something we can stick on the anvil so everybody's not dying? Is that too loud or is that okay? Okay, it's good for me if it's good for you. This is a process I'll brush a lot because when you're doing hand forging, it's really nice to get that scale off there, make it shiny, nice finish. And I'll start brushing next heat. Any questions? How are we doing on time? Not bad. Getting the. What's that?
Are you done with the 60 tons?
Yeah. That's a nice setup. What's everybody's favorite thing to forge? What's everybody's favorite thing to forge? Checks. Bottle openers? Anybody like bottle openers? Nah, we're past that. What's that? Oh, you like bottle openers? Hammers? I heard hammers. Yeah. Hammers are really fun. I like hammers. What's that? Box jaw tongs. Those are cool. I've never forged a pair of those. Yeah, I bet. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay. This is pretty close to what I want right here. You can see it's pretty straight, right? Not too bad. I'll stick the drift back in there and make sure that it's very straight. There's the bit. Almost perfectly flat. It might look like I'm using the whole flat die on my hammer, but I'm not. A lot of what I'm doing there is using the top corner right here, and I'll put the, if I'm forging, I'll put the corner right here, and I'll kind of hit to where that corner hits right here, and I'll just draw that steel to the corner, draw it out more. Because you can see that head now, instead of being round on top, it's kind of straight, because we drew it out on the corner there, and that makes it to where our toe and our heel are much thinner than the center, and we really like that. And then you finish up with the full flat face on the hammer, make it nice and smooth, and it should be ready to grind. All we have to do now is just flatten out and make everything look pretty, and I'll work the cheeks area and the pull, make that really straight with the drift inside, and then we'll go back, fully straighten out the edge, go back on the grinder one time on the edge just so I can see the shiny surface and make sure that it's not wavy, and then stamp it and we'll be done. Just a little bit of work left. Like I said, not a whole lot of press work from here. Like, I can't do any of this on the press unless I had really specific dies, and I don't want to make those. So I do need to get my drift ready. Let's see. Should be good. No. Does anybody collect vintage axes? You do?
My boss does.
Oh, nice.
Like hatchets mostly.
What does he like?
You'd have to ask him.
Oh, yeah?
He's got the 8th largest hatchet collection in the United States or something.
What?
It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
So you guys will see the cheeks on this axe are actually pretty thin. They're not very thick. This drift is super, super thick, so it makes the eye walls thinner. It's okay. I mean, if you harden the whole head, it's not going to do anything. Not really going to mess it up if you hit it with a hammer or anything. I'd hit it with a hammer the same as a thick axe. The only problem you'd ever have on an axe breaking on the eye walls is if your axe, think about you have the pole right here in the pit. If your eye walls kind of flare out like this, instead of it being a flat, straight axe, you'll have problems there. Believe it or not, that already creates that buckle point. So if you ever hit it with a hammer, it'll buckle even more. I've actually had that happen on a hammer eye punch. I still have it. It actually broke. My dad was striking for me. And we made it, and we didn't flatten it out all the way on the cheeks, and that thing buckled into 3 pieces. It was very interesting. So it cracked at the front corners of the eye. So it basically, it took the tool and did this to it, right? It buckled it to the side. It's really interesting. That should probably be hot. Okay. So it's getting a little crooked here. Yeah, so I need to heat it back up, and I'll forge this pole side. I've been forging the side of the bit, on the bit side more. So now I need to work on the pole, straighten it up a little bit, but it's coming along. I don't mind it. Definitely get warm hammering on that piece of steel. That stuff is hot. It's not that heavy, but it's really big. All that hot surface area just radiates right to you. I'm gonna cool that off. Thanks for the grinder, by the way. I'm used to a 220. Okay. Any other questions? Time is it? 6:35. Were we planning on 7 o'clock? I think we're going to be pretty on time then. Somewhere around 200. How many have I made total? I usually say 600 to 700 so far. I've only been, well, shoot, how long have I been full-time?
And now he's like,
What's that?
but you get to go back, dude.
Yeah, but I've been full-time since 2017. Or not 2017, since I was 17.
She gave him like a ball.
Yeah, definitely around 700. I've been full-time for not 6 years. Almost 5 years. So, man, it might be closer to 1,000. Holy smokes. Jeez.
Do you do batches or do you do one at a time? How does that look?
I do 1 week at a time. Usually, right now I have a bunch of orders to finish, so I'm just doing whatever's on the website every single day. Normally, I'll do like 6 or 7 a week, and I'll sell them on Friday. That's usually what I do. Yeah. Yeah. It depends on the head. This is about the average time it takes to make a Tassie. The fastest I've ever made a Tassie, probably 2 at a time in 5 hours, which means 2.5 hours a piece. This will have been 3 hours probably when it's done. We'll see. Okay, so this is probably the longest part of making an axe, is straightening it. Made good progress on this. I got the pull side straightened out like I wanted to. So you can see the bottom part right here is actually nice and straight. What I want to do now is get the bit straight. This, I went a little bit too far on one of the bevels. I need to forge it back this way because the bit, let's see, let me make sure here. Yeah, so the bottom, the heel, is actually sweeping this way, and I want it obviously to be straight. So I'll take the bevel, instead of kind of doing what you would think I'd do and like put it on the horn and hit it over the horn, I'm actually going to put it flat, and I'm just going to hit with the round side on the hump of the bevel there. And that should straighten it out pretty well and have a drift in there. So that should be the bottom straight, and then we'll work the top. The nice thing about straightening one side is it really helps straighten the other side. So like the bottom was kind of messed up. Right now the top is looking a whole lot better. So yeah, should be not too bad to straighten that one out. We'll quench our drift. Does anybody here want to try axe making, but don't because you think it's difficult? Good. It's not as difficult as you think. It's really easy if you have a press, honestly. Just make some dies. A big reason I never started making axes is because I thought it was really, really difficult. And don't ever let that thought keep you from making something, because you can always learn how to do it. Where did I learn? I screwed up a whole lot. Yeah, I watched YouTube videos. I watched Liam Hoffman's YouTube videos, but just literally just doing it. That's how I learned the best.
How limiting would it be if we had a smaller press than that?
I don't know. I've never used a smaller press, but I bet I could still do it. Because a lot of people said I couldn't forge an 11-pound axe on a 25-ton press, but I did. So if you get steel hot enough, you can do anything. Okay, we're gonna, I bet that's hot enough.
Are you qualified to operate them?
Yeah, I'm certified. Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I'll walk to the bathroom.
Okay, so, yeah, it looks much better. So now it's actually pretty straight. You guys can look at it if you want. Looks pretty straight. It might look perfectly straight, it's not. I can see a little bit of crookedness in it, but that'll work itself out. When we keep forging, So now I will, I'll do the top, and that should straighten it perfectly out.
That's true. No, that might not work.
Thanks.
Yeah, funny enough, we filmed, because he's a very low his resume is very impressive. He looks right on like, do this. It's just like, okay. I did really bad. That was wasn't, but it was reinforcing. His lunch is stuff. And I went down one path. I called Isaac. He was like the first person I called. So I think that
One more.
He's like, great.
Thank you.
No, this was.
Yep. It's both, actually. Yep, it's both. You can air quench it. It doesn't get super hard when you do that, but it'll get, if you air quench it, that's more like if you're doing a forging tool, like a drift or something, or dies. That's what they do a lot. It makes them really, really tough. But for an axe, I tried air quenching them, and it just doesn't get quite hard enough to hold an edge. Yeah. It's just not high carbon enough to do that. Thank you.
Are you inspired by?
Okay, that is probably hot. Okay, that might just be, that might just be, hello, hello, oh, there it is. That might be perfect right here. Yeah, there's just a bend in the toe right here. So, See? Looks pretty straight. Not bad. Not bad. So there's the back. What's that? He's awesome. So a big tip for straightening axes. I can look at this thing straight on all day, and for some reason, it ain't straight. Like, it looks straight, but it's not. I don't know why. It's really weird. So I look at it this way, okay, as if you were me, not like that. I look at it from the back, okay? And if you can see the tip and then the bottom tip, you can try and line them up with the center of the pole and then the center of the eye and see if they're straight on, okay? And that right there, that will get an axe straight, okay? That'll show you things that you couldn't see when you were looking at it straight on. So that's a big reason why I don't immediately grind extra material off, because that little knob allows me to see the tip, okay? And then I can really see if it's straight. This view is really good for the eye straightness, because you can visually make a line in your head at the center of the eye and move it forward to the edge. But looking from the back right there, that changed my life when I started doing that. And because I was having a hard time hanging straight heads, right? That should not be a problem. But I was having a hard time hanging them because they weren't straight. And I just took time forging one day, and I learned a new technique. So always take your time. Don't rush things. It really hurts when you rush. But all I need to do now is make sure the bit is really straight. It's a little wavy right now. I'll go through, not at a super high heat, and just straighten it up. Stamp it, we'll be done. So you might have seen that edge was a little bit thinner than I may have described it before. It's actually pretty thin right now. That's because I have to still grind it down. It'll get thicker. Yeah. Any questions before we go to stamping? You guys have asked a lot of good questions. Thank you. It helps me. I have to explain everything. Oh, yeah. No, it should be the same thickness, yeah. It was going in pretty straight. It may have looked crooked for some reason, but, I mean, we can look at it when I'm done. Mm-hmm. It should be, yeah. Could be. We'll see when I'm done.
I think the jig that he did, I think will be good for you. Well, if you're doing interval guard ones, you can clamp it in there and really put it into the guard.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. It doesn't look like it, but they are. It makes a pretty heavy hourglass. That's why they never come loose. Yeah, I've always found a lot of people say thinner wedges are better. Sometimes they're not. On hammers, it's pretty true. Just because you have that little bit of wood, if you bend that too much, it's probably going to break. But on axes, I've found with a little bit more hourglass, they never come loose. And I've never had an axe handle break inside the eye. It's always been, down where it should break. But on this axe, on this eye, they have a lot less hourglass, so a lot thinner wedge. Yeah. So it takes a real thin wedge on these axes. But those smaller ones, like Andrew's, it'll take a thicker wedge. And that's also because I drive that wedge in so deep that it's mushrooms that wood on top of the head. So you can probably look at Andrew's right here. You can see that wood is actually spreading out. So some of the thickness of that is not just the difference of the thickness between the hourglass right there. It's actually like, if you take this handle out, there's a sharp line right there where it's digging into the head. This one is probably that deep right there. On a Tassie, it'll go, on that axe, just below halfway, just below. Okay. Now we'll forge the bit. I'm just gonna straighten it. It's already the thickness I want, the shape I want. Everything's good, so it shouldn't take very long. Hello, 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 hello. Did some grinding, and that's how we want it to look. Okay, nice and flat on top. I do have some a hollow right here on the end of the pole. It's okay, you can leave it if you want. I personally would grind it out if I could, but I won't take the extra time to do that, the demo. But it's looking good. Hey dude, what are you doing? It's looking good so far, nice and straight. You can see now with the top round that it's pretty even on both sides of the eye, right? We want that sweep to be even on the eye, okay, for the bevels. so it looks nice. A crooked axe is not really gonna, if it's slightly crooked, it's not gonna perform terribly. But when somebody looks down your axe, you want to be like, oh man, that looks good. Like, oh, I don't even know how I would do that. So just keep checking. Like the most checking I do is right before I finish it, and it's pretty dang good. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, I'm gonna brush it real quick, and then stamp it. Got something vibrating in my pants once in a while. Give it a brush. The nice thing is, you can see that scale just pop right off. When you have your forge set well, that thing's set really well. It'll just come off. And I haven't really brushed this thing. I really haven't. And the finish is pretty good. Just don't leave it in the forge too long, and it won't get all crusty and nasty. And if you hammer it well, keep your dies pretty clean, it'll stay nice. So I'm pretty happy with this. I like this axe. It wouldn't be a bad one. So you can kind of see if you get close enough. These tongs are a little hot, but if you get close enough, you can see those corners. They're thinner than the middle. It's not a whole lot, but when you start grinding and getting further back here, it'll get that banana. Okay? So you can see corners are thinner. The corners, once I beveled, I just deburred the corners, and it's basically zero right now. So that's how thin they are. When you actually grind your bevel, it'll be thicker than you think. You'll have to grind off more than you think. But this will be a good splitter right here. It's got that bullet shape. So we'll stick it back in. Always stick the pull side back in for the stamp. And yeah, just make sure. This thing heats up really fast, so I want to make sure my ducks are in a row. We'll switch to the flat dies. And I don't need this thing anymore. Set that down. What do you guys think? Nice? Thank you. I love Tazzies. They're so cool. They were the hardest axe for me to figure out because they're so big and that so many things can go wrong. But when you do one nice, they look so good. So, this is the big stamp that I use. If you guys want a good stamp, call Honick Engraving, please. They're amazing. I love them. Best company I've ever dealt with for stamps. Very quick. Their lead times are fast. I hate to just be like an advertisement for them, but I seriously just love them. They're awesome. And their stamps hold up really well. I'll use this piece of square right here, and I'll move that around on the stamp because it's not a flat surface, so you want your points of pressure on every side of the stamp, okay? And on this biggest stamp, I'll stamp it from both sides with the drift in each side. Okay, I'll do half at one time and half on the other side. And then I have my USA and S7 stamps. Those are just letters. Make sure they're the right direction. And my tongs. Okay. I do not cool the drift down for this heat. You want that drift to be hot if you can, because then it won't cool off your cheeks so much that you can't stamp deep. And I'm not going to get it super hot either, because I like a stamp to be kind of shiny. But I am going to try and go fast. a Sharpie mark that's straight where I want it. I'll go on the other half just to kind of mark it so I can inset my stamp on the next go around, but I hit every corner. And then quickly take it off. You can see it's kind of like 3/4 of the way in there. Flat side of the hammer so you don't dent it. Get that, put it back in. Right back. Kind of hang it off a little bit. Bring that in. Line it up where you think you had it. Sometimes it's difficult, but I just felt it. Make sure you're in there. And then start with the other half. Get the corners really well. And she's good. Flip it over. That's good. U.S. A. Oop. We'll do that again. Gotta be careful with these letters. You can go deep really fast. Okay. And we have a mostly finished Tassie with my favorite stamp and my second favorite stamp, USA. Love the USA. Okay, we can do some finish grinding if you guys want, but I'm happy with that axe. I can just clean it up a little bit and she'll be done. Just go. Thank you. We'll set that there. And then, yeah, I'll just clean it up with the grinder real fast. That way when you look at it, there's no imperfections, right?
That's why on Wednesday, I was like, hey, Frank, how do you usually Friday? Why meet at 4 instead of 5? He's like, yeah. Stay till 4 which is 8, so you don't get shot. And I was like, okay. something, but he had peaked both sides. And now
Okay.
they're gone. I missed that.
If you guys want to come see it, head on down here. See it up close.
I thought when he was forging the bit somehow he
Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
that big oh, like a marble. They're fine. Oh, it's just like the one we got. All three hits. We've had a really good dinner, but these three jackets
See the billet that's in there? Yeah, we'll see it.